and welcome to the Mindless Sketch Show. I hope you appreciate the decor now that we are in the peak of our holiday season. This episode is going to start with Khoa, the director of A Christmas Cowboy. This was shot and directed in 13 days, packaged and released so you can see it right now. And that's on video demand. You'll see in the information after or in the description below where you can find and rent this movie. It's amazing feat, and Klaus is going to fill you in on what he had to do to just get this done.
Yeah, I just think that like it's just a wasted opportunity to like. It's a shame that you didn't even shoot me sleeping on the floor.
Yeah,
With the
I didn't know
on my own.
on the floor.
I would wait. I would wake up. No, I'm falling asleep mixing the 5.1, right?
Right,
And I'm not even crediting myself as a mixer. I'm just saying Kvibe Studios is, right?
right.
And I go in there. And I'm like, I'm falling asleep. I need to go to sleep. And all I do is just sit down and I sleep. And then it's disgusting. I don't brush my teeth, nothing. And I would just, I'm thinking I'm taking a nap for
Don't
like.
tell me you woke up and just went straight to it again.
And then I will wake up and I just go on the seat and work with my eyes closed sometimes. Because I don't need my eyes for that. I just need to listen. But
Yeah.
but the good thing is that my ears are super fresh.
Got it.
So it's like it resets myself. So, but I must have listened to it like 1,000 times. I feel like, but it brings me back to the old days of like when I was mixing in, making music and stuff,
Yeah.
mixing and mastering and everything else. I was like, shit. That's what I used to do. Fall asleep on it. I go to sleep on the floor. I would wake up right into the chair and keep working, and I would rinse and repeat until I got it done. And that's what I did with this project.
Wow.
And that's.
I can't believe you slept on the floor. You didn't even go onto there's like a couch right in the next room.
Too much work. You know what I did was I went to Stop and Shop and I bought ramen noodles, like the cup. I don't want to buy the regular one. I don't even have time to put it into a bowl, put water in it, and boil the water. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to
Put it in
a
the cup, microwave it.
and microwave it and eat it, and then I just put hot sauce on it. And
You know, I didn't even know they made microwavable cup of noodle soups until you brought it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know they direct. I was like, oh, you
Oh,
gotta.
it's the best thing. It's like I've been eating that. That's been my meal for. First of all, second of all, I eat maybe one meal a day. You know why? This is my thing. If I eat when I eat,
Right.
I start get tired. I get very tired. So I just don't eat, and I actually work while I'm hungry, because that gives me so much more energy to finish the project. Because the
Right.
minute I eat, I fall asleep. I
Yeah.
know I'm not gonna get anything done. It's like, so I just don't eat. So I eat very little. I eat the ramen noodles. That gives me just to kind of give me some taste.
Yeah.
And then I don't even drink water, dude. So I might have drink one glass of water a day.
Well, you should.
I drink maybe like a coffee.
Right.
Like that keeps me hydrated. A water, maybe not like a seltzer, wherever it is, and then a coffee and then ramen. That was my meal for 6 straight days. Because I'm gonna say a name because
All right.
because someone
Let's
because
not
fucked
get
up.
into.
Because someone fucked up, gave me a half-ass product that I paid for. Man,
Yeah.
I was angry. But anyways,
But that's anyways. So I kind of wanted to bring you talk to you about your journey into the creative world and about you establishing your business. Like what led you? What does your entrepreneurial journey look like? From and just start from
the
you know,
beginning
the
of
beginning.
time.
Yeah. So you don't
Dude.
have to talk about maybe you don't have to talk about your family and stuff like that. Maybe you
Okay.
could talk portions of it. But I think like I'm not even sure your education graduate. Like I know you went to Rutgers, right? And I know and then to Juilliard, but I don't know how that started really.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so I'll try to speed ramp this in like 2 minutes, right? I started my entrepreneurship journey when I was 19 years old. I'm 44 right now, right? But I think I started even earlier than that when I think back more.
Okay.
Because I'm a self-starter. I'm a guy that needs to do things really well at anything that I do, and that started with like, I had a dream to be a baseball player.
Right.
So I was on the field all day, every day, learning and learning and learning. And I played for so many different teams. I did travel teams and everything else. And so that mindset of being in like having this discipline and being like a militant attitude about how you go about it started when I was super like I was a
So
kid.
baseball.
Baseball, yeah. Going outside. Nobody's telling me to throw the ball against the wall. And I'm throwing it against the wall for hours a day. But if you want to go even back further, my dad told me I'm the type of kid that he couldn't get me off my toys. I'm rocking the car back and forth for 8 hours a day, nonstop. So I think that I'm just wired that way when I was born.
Right.
So when I was 19 years old, I blew my arm out and I was playing for baseball for Rutgers. And so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna play this game anymore. So disappointing, but I was playing music already, and I learned, from my ex girlfriends. She was a singer, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Introduced me to a producer named is Kwaku, who we work with. Who's I'm still really good friends today.
Right.
And he introduced me to the music world. And from there, I said, okay, I could do this.
Right.
Did 10 years straight, never made real money out of it. I've always worked a job. I've always worked about 2 to 3 jobs.
Right.
Working for somebody else that I hated to do. I just hated. I never understood why I had to be on time at 8 o'clock sharp, going to work. And I said, I'm not dealing with clients. So, and I could leave later. I'm still gonna work my 8-9 hour shift, wherever it is. But why do I need to be at this moment? I just never understood that type of culture. But it was because they never gave me a good explanation. So, anyways, I hated the corporate bureaucracy of how things operated, and I learned that by working I worked a bunch of jobs, and I worked multiple jobs at the same time. So I was taking 16 credits at school. I was working 3 jobs: data entry, bar running, and everything else. And I hated every single minute of my life around that stuff. The only thing that I loved was being in the studio and making music at that time.
Okay.
And then afterwards, well, I never made anything out of music. So I did. I mean, I did get somewhere in it, but not to the place of success.
But you also try. You didn't just make music. You were also. Didn't you try to establish a platform as well?
Oh yeah. So, yeah. So knowing me here, for anyone that wants to know, I like to build shovels around my targets, my target goals. So I never go in directly with, okay, I made a music. How do I exploit this song to death, right? I also, in order for me to exploit it to death, I have to build the things around it so it could exploit it.
Right.
So that's what I did. So I built Kvibe Productions, which is DBA Kvibe Studios today, and I built it like a MySpace company. If you look at, if you watch, if you go to ReverbNation.com, that was pretty much my site before Reverb Nation. Reverb Nation is just like a platform for music up there. But my thing was to put artists, songwriters, and producers together, and they buy beats, and I take a percentage off the beats. That's how I did it.
Right.
And so my brother and I went into business together. He's a developer, and we built the platform. It's just that during that time, in 2005, e-commerce was in the infancy still.
Right.
I was getting charged for fraud fees, meaning like someone did a credit card fraud. I get charged $50.
Right.
You know how many frauds there were back then, and you had to build. That means you had to put tons of more money for security to prevent that. I didn't have the money. I'm working a 9-to-5 job. I'm struggling. I just have a platform. Here it is. And so the infrastructure was not there, and I was paying like $1,500 a month.
But originally, the K-Vibe started as music.
Yeah, that's why it has a K-Vibe ring. That's why it has a music tone to it, right?
Yeah.
And so, I started there, and then I did it for 1 year, and then I shut it down because I couldn't afford it. And so I shut that. I kept the name. I turned it into a blog site, and then I just kept doing music. But then it was like it was like a hamster wheel for me. I was getting nowhere. I was working with other people that didn't know what they were doing either.
Right.
It's like the blind leading the blind. You're not teaching me the business because it was a very gated industry, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to teach me. And at that time, racism was super real. I'm an Asian guy in an urban community trying to make music in my dad's basement.
Yeah.
In
Jersey City.
In Jersey City. and so I have a lot of, there's a lot of things stacked against me. So in 2009, the new technologies. In 2008, 2007, I wanted to make music videos,
Right.
and I started looking into camera technologies and stuff, and I started building adapters. And I'm a tech guy when it comes to that type of stuff. And then all of a sudden, it's like that. The DSLR stuff started coming out.
Right.
2009, 5D Mark II. Where you had lenses. You couldn't, it was for 30 frames a second, but you could still make that stuff wherever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we made you and I made a film together.
Right. Denial.
And what was our script? Was in bullet points.
Yep. I can remember that. Oh my god.
I didn't know how to write a script. I didn't know how to read a script, but I do know my beats of it. And it was my first time doing it. I was experimenting, but I felt like I did a short film better than I did a music video, in my opinion. And so then I fell in love with that medium because the reason why I like the film side of things is because it incorporated everything I wanted. I wanted to collaborate with people. I like the idea that I could incorporate music into it. I like the idea of fashion. It's the entertainment. It's the ultimate entertainment industry. And I like the idea that I get to put my message out to a public that actually, at the time, industry they were embracing films and whatever film, and they were super supportive. Unlike in the music industry, I felt I was siloed.
Right.
You're in the box, and I couldn't find a community to fit in. But in films, like you go into the film festival,
Yeah,
and you're
music's
embraced.
a little different, right? It's not as I think because in film you have so many people that are involved in their sharing
That's right.
in the project.
Yeah.
So there's more involvement. I think with music, it's just usually the producer and the singer, whoever wrote it.
Yeah.
So there's very few people. So there's a lot more competition.
That's
I feel.
right, yeah. But in films, anyone that does film knows how hard it is to make a film.
Yeah.
Super hard to make a film. You got to know your cinematography, Especially if you're Quentin Tarantino, the one that would say you don't need to know anything. You just need to have a vision. Yeah, if you have the money. If you have the money. Sure, I would like to come in with a vision, and you guys will make it for me. I would love that, But as an indie, you have that. You don't have any of that, so you have to know your cinematography because otherwise, you're gonna hire wrong people to make a really bad project for you. So the only thing I can rely on myself is that second of all, I take pride of what people think about my work. Right, and at that time, I'm super conscious about it.
Right.
Over time, I start thinking less of it, but at the time, I was afraid of people criticizing me on my cinematography. So I go out and I learn every single component about filmmaking. I didn't go to film school, but it's logical to me.
Right.
But knowing my background, I'm just a self-starter.
Well, also thanks to YouTube, where you got to look up a lot of things, resources.
I barely had, but YouTube wasn't 720p. Nobody was really uploading real content on there, not especially for filmmaking.
That's true.
That's
a good point.
It was the forums and boards. Cinema5D.com was the best forum on the planet for me. And you could read, you see pictures. That's how I was learning stuff, right? But I really learned by going to meetup groups. I went to New York, upstate, and I started learning. And then, then I had this thing. I was like, you know what? I want to be fully into films.
Right.
And I was like, how do I become successful in films? And I go, well, if I go direct in films, I'm gonna be poor as hell because I'll be working 9 to 5 job, working at night to make a film, and I don't have the equipment. I don't have anything. I said, how do I get more money? How do I have resources? And how do I have a trusted team to work with over and over and over?
Right.
And that was my start of my true business.
So that's when you started. So what led you to? You had a vision of what you started thinking about, what the path you had to take to get to where you want to be right now, right? So now, how did you get there? What did you do first? What was the first thing that you said? Okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is at least step one of that journey.
Okay, so after the first year of learning how to do the photography, I made 3 short films or 4 short films, but I did 8 commercials, and I just did everything I can for free.
Just
for free.
Just build a port.
To build the portfolio and build more important, build the experience, right?
Yeah.
And anything I could get, because anyone's not gonna deny me from free.
Of course.
Right? So I'm working for free for an entire year.
Right.
I was making money somewhere else, so that's okay. So once I built that, I said, I'm dedicated to this. I love this so much, and I could spend the rest of my life doing this. Now, how do I get there? Well, I said let's start building. The first step was to get out of my 9 to 5 job. How do I get out?
Right.
That was gonna bog me down. I had to be in New York. That work, right? And I had a great job. A great job, right? It's just not for me.
Right.
And so I said, okay, let's start with corporate interviews, wherever it is. But it's super hard to get work like that. Being an unknown brand, wherever it is,
To be trusted.
to be trusted. And then one of my friends, DJ Valentino, he used to spin. Oh, I don't know. I think he still spins for 103.5. He's in the wedding industry. He's a music industry guy. He's one of the guys that does the top rating for the billboards and stuff. He asked me, "You want to do?" He has a wedding company, and I go, and he goes, "Well, you want to shoot for me? My videographer is not there." I said,
Right.
Dude, I'm trying to be a filmmaker. I'm not trying to do weddings." I said, "You got the message wrong." I said, no. He said, "No, but I'll pay you $750." And I go,
Wow.
"All right, let's give it a shot."
Your ears are open now.
I said, "Well, this is a good side gig, so for me to use the money
Right.
to buy equipment." That's how I looked at it.
So you already knew from the get you're reinvesting into your.
Yeah. Oh, I never save any money.
See, you know that off the bat, but a lot of people would probably, okay, there's extra cash. They might not think that.
Now,
way.
here's the thing. My cash, I was not a business guy. My cash used to sit in a shoebox, literally, in my room. I had a Mickey Mouse room, right? My dad had this Mickey Mouse room, right?
Okay.
I used to put my money in the shoebox, not a bank account, nothing like that, because we come from my family comes from an environment. We're refugee immigrants from Vietnam, so we're super. They train us to be super conservative and save every single penny you can. So, for me, I was saving everything in the shoebox, and that's how I pay my bills. That's how I used to do it.
Wow.
And so my mentality was that the money that I would do like for my 9 to 5 would be saved.
Yeah.
And then the side gig was going to be what I'm going to use to spend.
Got it.
But later on, I learned that I'm so passionate about the medium was that then I end up taking all my money and I start spending anyways.
Right.
My dad saw me spend on a credit card, and he sat me down. He said, "Look, gave me a dad and son talk that I don't want you going to debt. I don't want you ruining your life." And he scared the shit out of me. And so I've been super conservative around things. But so I said, "Look, as long as I have a job that will secure me,
Right.
are you okay with me doing side jobs and use that money for whatever I need to do?" And and I'm obedient to my family, and so.
Right.
And he was cool with that. And then I said, okay, then you don't have to worry, Dad. I'm gonna just do that. So I have money saved up. At the same time, I'm gonna work like hell on the side gig and make the money and use that money to buy what I need to buy.
So that was kind of like motivation also.
Yeah, and so that's been my mindset the whole entire time. So when I wanted to build the film business, he was afraid of using my own money for that. So I said, okay, let me do my side gig. So I did the wedding business. I've worked with a bunch of studios. Then I realized that, damn, I could actually build a business out of this. And I didn't know I was going to build a 7-figure business for a decade.
Yeah.
I just knew that it was something that I could do.
Well, you got familiar with the industry and the business.
Yeah, I picked it up so quickly. I was like, this is it. It's that simple, and everyone gets it. And all these
how much do they pay?
And all these freelancers are getting it wrong. These companies that don't care about it. It's a big mess in the industry.
Oh yeah, because there was a huge problem where delivery
is horrible. The shooting is horrible. Nobody cares. They just cover. They go in there with a light on the top and they just cover. They put the camera on the tripod and they just cover it. I said, I said, if I'm gonna do this really well, I might as well make a movie out of the weddings.
Bingo.
And that once I did that, it was a floodgate for me.
I think that was it. Well, that's that what separated you, right?
That was separated. But here's the thing. It goes back to saying that I didn't get into this because I wanted to be a wedding videographer.
Right.
I got into this because I want to be a filmmaker.
That's right.
I want to be a film director, producer, an owner of films, right? But I said this is going to lead my way into that. And it turns out that while that was happening, guess what ends up happening? I get the deal to do the Walt Before Mickey, my first feature.
Right.
You know why? Because I took all that money that I was doing for weddings and I put it into people. I invested a little bit into Christian Vogler. he needed equipment from me. And I gave him equipment. I bought a bunch of equipment. I just lend it out. I don't ask for rent or anything. They don't have to
Right.
pay me anything. I'm just helping as many people I can help. That was my mentality. I'm
Right.
trying to build a community. I'm trying to build this personal brand of myself at the time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Christian Vogel said, "I'm going to AFI, Khoa. I can't do this movie. They asked me to direct it, but I can't." So, and there's another director that got fired. So they asked me to direct. They asked him to direct it, but he can't direct. He's going to AFI. Then he says the next best thing was me, because I was crazy enough to pick up a job that was that was going to get doomed anyways.
Right.
I said, I got nothing else to lose, so let me go pick up this project. And I said, the worst thing that could happen is I could tarnish my name, but nobody knows who I am anyway, so who cares? That's how I thought about it. And it turns out that
But that relationship you got from was with Chris was through the film group, right?
Yeah, film group up in upstate New York. Yeah. And so he taught me everything. He taught me a lot about cinematography. He taught me a lot about the process of filmmaking. He's a very vocal guy, really good guy. And you got to get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
And and I mean, he's that guy, man. Like he's an initiative guy and wants to take, and I was like, he's a good friend of mine, and
he presented that opportunity for you to jump in.
Yeah, he jumped in, and look, it's not the best movie. Obviously, it was my first feature, but at least I got a feature.
It looks good, though. It looks great. I thought it was.
I had John Heder, Thomas.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that I didn't even know who John Heder really was when I took the movie.
Right, you had no idea
I didn't watch
about Napoleon Dynamite.
I didn't watch the movie. I knew Jodie Sweetin. She was.
Well, you knew American Pie.
I knew American Pie. Yeah, and so I was, but I was not starstruck just because I came from the music industry and I met a lot of celebrities do that too. So I was not starstruck type of person or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I went into this place of like, okay, when after I did the movie, I came back. Before that, I asked my administrator, "Can you be my salesperson?" I was doing $500,000 a year in my wedding already, right?
Right.
And so it allowed me to step away from my business for 2 months to make a movie. But this is the infancy stages of a business. This is where you're supposed to be taking care of the baby.
It could crash.
It could have crashed. But I got Jean. She's still our salesperson today.
Mm-hmm.
She's an admin that became a sales. She said, "I'm going to throw up, Khoa. I can't do this. I can't sell for you. I'm going to crash this company." I said, "Jean, look, if you crashed it, then you crashed it. But my goal was always been to go and make a movie."
But they did the opposite.
They did the opposite. They took care of the company. I had this I troubleshooted. I was depositing checks in Florida, and it kept going. But by the time I came back, I felt like the company didn't need me anymore. They took care of it. And so I said, the only thing I need to do is learn how to scale it.
Well, they basically became the face of the company
That's
at that point, Natasha and
so now this company is going from $500,000 to $1 million and 1.5 and kept on going up.
Yeah.
And I said, like, okay, why are we here? I'm here to make money from wedding.
Continue and
most people will probably just stay in that lane and just keep trying to ride their wave and kill their career or kill their dreams and wanted to do what they wanted to do. Maybe.
Right.
For me, it was time. It was a timer for me, meaning like I built this up, and when is enough is enough. Once I made that decision, then I was like, okay, how do I get into films? But the problem was that when I was building the wedding company, after I came back, I had to still take care of people, blah, blah, blah. So I couldn't make my films anyway.
Right.
It's like I bought myself a job, and that was a problem.
Right. No, well, at least you knew from that perspective, you could step away to do a film.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And and I wasn't in a position to invest into my own films yet, and I just didn't understand it yet,
Right.
And so, but while that was happening, I had Kvibe, and then corporate gigs started coming in,
So
and
when,
all this type of stuff.
When do you feel like Kvibe started changing from your original concept of what it was? How did that evolve?
I think it changed I think it changed in 2009, right? It was a MySpace company, music company, MySpace type of company. In 2009, that's when it started with films. That's why I always kept the name. So the name has been around for 19 years now.
Yeah.
19 years is the name, right? And so I kept it. It didn't make money until 7 years later. So when the irony is this: when the wedding business started kicking off, corporate business started kicking off. It integrated with each other. You know why? So my theory worked because wedding people are the same people that's doing the corporate.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's the same people.
Right.
So it made a lot of sense to me. So that means these are filmmakers as well, or potential filmmakers, right?
Right.
And I have a team, a culture, and I said, look, I'm branding myself as this guy that's not building a wedding company. I'm branding myself as this guy that's building a studio that wants to be able to be super passionate about what they love to do, but we're gonna do weddings just to get us over the hump.
That's right. That's right.
And I've had not steered that you
From-
know me for a long
Yeah.
time. I had not steered that away from that. Every decision that I do, from buying a building, building services, whether they succeed or fail, it's always been around that idea, that one center idea of doing something that we love to do and make a living out of it. Because I always believe that if you're super talented, if you're super talented in what you're doing, why should you be working another job to do that?
Right. Because you
And I'm
yeah,
so
you
I'm,
don't
so
know.
I'm so I'm fighting against that, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, you have to. So I still today, 90% of the things I do, I hate doing.
So that was basically the decision. When did it come to the decision to purchase the building?
Oh, that was a no brainer for me. I think I started the journey around 2017, 2018. The space was crowded. I had 22 employees, no overseas team yet. Our team is much bigger right now. We have
Yeah.
close to
Because I
100
remember
people.
the first place where you were in an incubator.
Yeah.
And then you grew out of there, and then you moved to Newark.
That's right. We have right now we have like over like almost 100 people, right?
Right.
That's mostly from overseas people. We got 50 team members for our post production,
Yeah.
and then 50, 60 contractors over here that works consistently with us. So I look at it as like 100 plus people. At the time when we had 22 W2 employees, and then we were working on top of each other. Everyone was working on the same
Yeah.
desk and everything else.
Yeah.
So I said, look, our lease is coming up. I said, and I'm already paying what, $5,000 a month on our 2,500 square foot space.
Right.
I might as well freaking buy a building and then make a studio out of it. So I went hunting for about a year and a half, you know. And
Right.
so I think from there, that's when I said when I saw this building, I was like, I saw so much potential. I mean, this used to be USPS set up at the time.
Right. Yeah.
Shipping yards and everything in here, and I go, look, it was cheap. It was $1.1 million. Luckily, we bought it before the pandemic because this thing is probably worth way more than that now.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't even buy it this time. It would turn into a condo or something like that, right? So, like everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I said, look, I said I could probably come close, maybe spend a little bit more from a mortgage. At least I own the place.
Right.
And that's how we went about approaching the building. Now, buying a building is a whole different podcast because that was a massive adversity trying to get the building. You know,
Right.
I was at the verge of giving it up. You know,
But I mean, the idea behind the building is really when I get it like hone in on.
yeah.
Is,
The idea of the building was that it was a way to build the community. That was really it. You could see it, you could feel it, and you could be in it, and then you could do things with it that's gonna build the film community up.
which is where it's progressing right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 years later.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would have started early. The pandemic didn't happen.
Right.
But 2 years was gone when the
Yeah, because we moved in right when the pandemic started.
Yeah, and everyone was from home, and I couldn't bring people into the building anymore. For 2 years, it was gone. Out of
And
it.
then technology started moving faster.
That's right.
You know, so then
Yeah.
that's when things started.
And here's the thing,
efficient.
and here's the thing, I still got a business, I still got mouths to feed.
Right. And then you still but so much has happened within 4 years. Like from the older years of like LPS, Kvibe, all the films, like then all of a sudden like during the years after the purchase of the building, then you had Bezos, right?
That's right. Yeah, I got Bezos. I had a fallout with the producer that brought me on for Walt Before Mickey, and that's another story. But we kind of reconciled before the pandemic.
Right.
So I had given him a call, and I was trying to help. I was trying to help my friend out to put him in touch with the New York Yankees. He has ties with them.
Yeah.
And then he asked me, "Hey, you want to do Bezos?" You called me on the right time. I said, "Sure." I haven't done a narrative film since Walt. I'm gonna be rusty about it, And so I did that, and then here I am back in. And then after that, 2 years later, I did another feature, Christmas Cowboy, which is gonna come out hopefully either this year or next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah, Christmas Cowboy. That's the one that you've been sleeping on the floor for.
that's right. But you know, I think that's a good product. That's
Yeah.
good. That's a good film.
Yeah,
Not the
this
best
one's
film.
not. Well,
but
it's
a
not
good
a
film.
biopic
Yeah.
this time, so
No.
it's not. It's something that I feel people will enjoy.
And you know what? This is my third narrative. When you this is my sixth feature film, but it's my third narrative. Third narrative, right? And I feel like look, it takes time to master a craft. Steven Spielberg said you're only the sixth feature film. You didn't even start making feature films yet.
Right.
If you did your sixth feature, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I felt like I'm on my third one, and I got way better because I got a stronger writer. You know, her name is Ileana, TikTok star, and then I also got better at understanding how to tell stories. And so, as long that was, first of all, I did that movie in 12 days. That's number one, right? But to be able to think very quickly on my feet, and that's just 2 decades of practice, in my opinion, right? But to be able to tell a story and know how to tell a story in a narrative format and tell stories with single single soundbite type of stuff,
Yeah.
and make it visual, that was you hear about it, but doing it and executing is a whole different thing.
Right.
Being able to know about it and execute it is like aha moment for me. And so I said, okay, I'm ready to go harder on the films now.
Yeah.
I said this industry is all messed up at the moment, right? It's all messed up. It's all decimated. No filmmaker is really making any real money anymore. Indies, that is, right? And I said, it's like the wedding industry to me. I see massive amount of problems, and here I go, back how it was started.
That's what you're gonna do with indie film distribution, right?
That's right. Indie film distribution, Satudu. Yeah, I have this. It's another podcast, but I have a whole entire strategy of how we're gonna fix this industry. Nobody's look. If someone stepped up and says we're gonna help you fix this, I would lend a nonprofit support and help them fix it. But nobody's stepping up to the plate and do it because it's like the blind leading the blind. It feels like early 2000s in music for me.
Well, now we're at a state where everything's consumed so quickly, and content is not even looked. It's almost like pictures, videos. They're just like what. There's no value to it because it used to take studios a long time to release things and put them into theaters. But we're not about theaters anymore. Now it's all about streaming services and people paying a monthly fee, and they're not doing anything else.
I would say maybe value is the wrong word, but I say there is value in content if it's good, right? That's number one. But however, the studio system screwed everything up. They shot themselves in the foot. That's why they're being screwed at the moment. But the thing is that they offered high quality content for nothing.
That's right.
And so they took everything, all the hard work,
they Spotified
and bundled it into a $15 a month subscription fee.
Yeah, they Spotified it. That's what they did.
Except that it's not music where you're banging out 2 or 3 records a day.
No.
Filmmaking a good film could take a year to make.
Yeah.
And then you just took that and made it $15. It's and you got unlimited content to watch.
Right.
And so, in my opinion, I think that was deliberately done by Wall Street, by the Netflix type of people, and that was like a 20, 30-year plan. They said, we're going to destroy Hollywood for you, and they're going to shoot themselves in the foot, but they're going to compete against us. We're going to make everyone a streaming platform, and guess what? We're going to dominate the world first, and everyone's going to do the same thing, and then they're going to screw up their own content, and then they're going to laugh about it. And that's when Netflix dominates, and everyone's falling off, and now everyone's struggling. So in my opinion, to me, it's a good thing because it bottomed out. I think it's still bottoming, right? It's still going to the bottom. But for someone like me, I'm a David that could turn to a Goliath and do something great for the community. That's how I look at it. So the distribution industry has a really bad rep. Really, 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 really bad for scamming people, not people making money. And I'm not sure that's their fault. I think it's the industry's fault. But for me, I said, look, we 186 Griffith Street, Jersey City. You can show up in our building
Yeah.
anytime you want. We're not hiding around PO Box. When we launch, we're gonna be the most. We're gonna deliver what we believe is the best value proposition. As long as we can figure out how to make a return out of the projects.
Absolutely. And we were trying to build a community, but at least you're creating an option of support in some, you know, like something's got to give in this industry. And if we try to create some kind of solution, at least let's give it a shot with, you know, another angle at distribution.
Look, I'm a filmmaker. I'm a diehard.
Right?
I'm a diehard wanting to be a filmmaker, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing more than 1% of the independent film market. Most people do 1 to 2 films in their lifetime. You know,
Yeah.
I'm 44 years old. I've done my 5 features, 3 narratives, 2 docs. I'm emerging to do another slate that we want to do, and I have multiple different businesses, and I feel like none of that means anything until I am creatively satisfied with what I want to do. And so I'm not creatively satisfied. I'm not audience. I don't have any I don't have any success around audience yet.
Yeah.
And and financially I'm not successful when it comes to the film world yet.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting from the bottom at the moment. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And so I look at success in 3 ways. Until I could conquer those 3 successes and feel fulfilled for what I'm doing with that, I'm on a bullet train, dude. I'm not stopping.
Awesome. Hey, I mean, the movie Christmas Cowboy is going to be coming up, so that's what you've been working on really hard.
Yep.
Look, I've seen him in there, and looking and doing all the audio work that he had to put into it, ADR and all that stuff. Wow, you have no idea how much of night and day that the previous version of the film with it is just like amazing, and plus the coloring and all. Like he did everything. He did everything on this.
Look,
so you got to support this movie.
No. I would say okay. I can't. I'm not the guy that would take credit for a lot of things, different things, right? You know, Ileana was an amazing editor for the project as well. I did the Mark Falcon did the initial draft. I came in and did the next 3 or 4 drafts, and then it was handed off to Ileana to tighten up the story, right, and everything else. And she brought on a story consultant, Adam Stoner. He was the founder of the New York Film Academy in New York. He was brought onto the project, and they went for months building out a better story. And I'm at that point, I was just an approver. And so when the story came back, I ended up just making some more tweaks around it, and then I went hard on coloring. So the thing is that it's a there's no money for any of that type of stuff.
Right.
So and I think it's a good movie, and I just like anything that I believe in, you put your all into it.
Yeah.
So I'm a strong colorist.
Yeah.
I grew up in music and sound and went to Juilliard and everything else. So there's no excuses. I screwed up by sending that mix to somebody else
Right.
when I should have stayed with me, But lesson learned.
Right.
And so yeah, I did, but credit to them, they set it up for me.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
then I went in and finished it, and
Right.
then and that's one of the hardest things to do is to finish a project. Like everyone has ideas, they could start a project, they could get 50% of the project, but can you get to the last mile?
Right.
That's the hardest part, and I believe that 98% of the people in the world cannot get through the last mile. And that's why there's tons of unfinished films. They can't finish the film for 10 years, whatever the case is.
Right.
No, I go in and I'm finishing the damn project. And I would put everything to the side just to make sure this is the goal. The goal is to make movies, right? If I didn't believe in it, I would have finished the movie.
There you go.
It's my directing, right? It's everything else. So yeah, I mean, it's here's the other thing. I did a lot on the project for sure, right? But my mind says that I do not want to disappoint people that
Part of the project.
that's part of the project.
Yeah.
That also believes in me.
Yeah.
And especially most important, like yourself and the whole entire team that's been with me for almost a decade now.
Yeah.
Like, what are we fighting for if
Yeah,
I
we
don't
wanna
go,
be proud of
if
the
I don't do
product.
it?
Yeah.
So it's the best I could do. In my opinion, it's the best I could do. I'm sure nobody gives a damn when they watch it. They can say, okay, that's stupid, whatever it is. It could be that, or it could be great. I don't
Right.
know, right?
Right.
But they don't know what's behind the scenes to it, and
Yeah.
it's the best I could do, and I'm willing to take all the punches for it, for sure. But in my opinion, it's probably one of the best work I've done up to par so far.
And the music in it, the soundtrack.
Oh,
you guys are
beautifully
gonna-
done by
yeah.
Colin Bell.
Yeah.
Look, that's a different story. There was a late start on that one. That was my fault. No, that was the producer's fault and everybody else. On not being with the green light, the locked edit, and we put a lot of pressure on Colin, and it had a late start on it, but eventually once it clicked, oh my God, the score is beautiful. So we'll be putting the soundtrack out before the movie.
Yeah. And you guys pay attention to that. We're going to have that soundtrack blasted out there for you. So
beautiful.
definitely show your support. Listen to it, share it, whatever. But we're here with Khoa and, Kvibe Studios, indie film distribution. Look out for it. Indie film. Actually, we were doing a podcast too.
Yeah, Indie Film Insights. Yes, right.
Indie Film Insights. So stay tuned for that because that's going to launch soon.
And then the personal website, it will be qualityfilms.com.
KhuaLeiFilms.com.
That's right. That's where going to be all the instead of pushing everybody into like multiple different companies, go from my website, know a little bit about me, and know all my tentacles, what's happening. It's probably easier.
And you'll be able to learn all about his history, all the businesses, all the
my
support
insights. I'm going to be
systems.
delivering a lot of education around content and how we made it.
Yeah, masterclass style.
Things that you can't find on YouTube, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I mean, look, that's what we're building here. We're building not just only film. There's music too. We also have like Jimmy Cazier and his team here as well. So we're building a community. So if you guys want to reach out and be part of it, don't be afraid. We're right here in the Heights, Jersey City, and you can even shoot us an email, DM us. Doesn't matter.
DM us. All right. Thanks, Joe.
All right.